I've had a job site table saw for a while, but I couldn't really use it very well because I didn't have a stand for it. Having it on the floor is too low and having it on my workstation is too high. So I decided to make a table saw stand for it so that the top of the table saw would be at the correct height. And I also decided to put it on wheels so that I could roll it around and add some storage at the bottom. The first step was to make the tabletop. I decided to make it from 2 sheets of 3/4 inch plywood glued together. So the plywood that I have is not perfectly square, so I'm going to trim it a little bit. I had the store cut it to approximately 2 feet by 4 feet, but it's not exact and it's not exactly square. So I'm going to trim it so that it's 47.5 by 23.5. And I'll do the same thing. This part is going to be the bottom, and then I'll do the same thing for the top that I glued up. So I'm using this square, T-square here I'm using this part as the reference edge, and I'm using this T-square to get a square cut here. I'm going to draw a line first, and then I'm going to clamp this down so that it can be used as an edge guide for the saw here. So I have clamped the T-square down to the plywood such that the blade would cut just outside of that line I drew. I don't want to cut through my T-square here, so I'm actually going to stop the saw right before it gets there, right before the blade gets there, and then remove my T-square and finish the cut, whatever little is left of it, without the straight edge. So what I noticed is that this square is not actually perfectly square. I checked it with one of these, and my cut here is not square. So I'm going to recut it, and this time I used this square to draw a line where I need the square cut to be, and then I shifted it by 3.5 inches, which is a distance from the edge of the edge guide to the blade here, and I'm going to cut it again. So I have turned around this piece of plywood, and now I need to measure 47.5 inches from that end and subtract 3.5 inches for the distance between the saw blade and the guide. So 47.5 inches is right here. I can barely make it. I need to subtract 3.5 inches. So it's gonna go over here at 44. That's where I need the edge guide to be. The first thing I'm going to do is pre-drill the holes and countersink them. It will make assembly easier. So how strong is this? Strong enough.